young people dying from overdoses.
Mm-hmm. Have you worked on those cases recently, whether they're the substance abuse cases or some of the sexual assault cases? And is it different trying, you said things have sort of changed over the course of 30, 40 years, but when you get a call and you have one of these cases, how do you typically handle it?
Well, I can give you an example of sexual assault cases, and then I can give you another example of substance abuse treatment center cases. But recently, and I'm proud to be partners with another lawyer named Dina Foman. She was actually contacted in her work with providing food to homeless people in the community by a woman who had been sexually assaulted in a mental health treatment facility. This is fraught with a lot of issues, right? Because people don't believe survivors of sexual assault to begin with. Right. And then you add that they're inpatients in a psychiatric facility. The automatic assumption is that didn't happen. Right. Now, there could be instances in which somebody's mental illness, they could be delusional, and it may not have happened, mm-hmm. right? That does happen. I mean, I'm a nurse. I've seen this, right? People imagine all sorts of things when they may be in an agitated mental state. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that we started looking at was, are there other people, right? What happened exactly? So another woman comes forward, and it's the same individual who's identified, right? It's a mental health tech in the psychiatric ward of a local hospital. Now, a pattern is emerging because I know, and lots of psychiatrists could tell you that people who are sex offenders like this, it's a compulsive kind of thing. I mean, they just don't stop. It's not like they wait one person and they go, okay, I'm done now, mm-hmm. right? They are always recidivists. They're repeat offenders. And, there's lots of studies about that, and not to digress, but I will for a moment. When I was a rape crisis counselor in Connecticut, I had the privilege of going with my mentor, Barbara Moynihan, up to one of the prisons. And part of this was to meet with sex offenders to sort of do a victim awareness kind of conversation. Mm-hmm. Anyway, there was a gentleman there who was a psychologist, and he wrote a book about, and it's called Men Who Rape, pretty direct title. And anyway, it talks about, part of that is talking about the different offender profiles. And it has certainly gotten a lot of sophistication. Any of us who've seen FBI profile or shows or whatever, but there is a pattern. Mm-hmm. So as soon as we started to hear that there were two, one starts to think there are more, right? And the pattern, the description of the events are remarkably similar. So that's what we start to put that picture together. We make sure, and we have made sure, that these women get connected with appropriate services, meaning victim services. Palm Beach County has a great victim services program. I mean, it's outstanding. Mm-hmm. That's not true throughout the whole country, but they're a lot better than they were some years ago, and they exist. So there are counselors who are specially trained to help survivors of crime. A lot of it's sexual assault. Mm-hmm. So they'll not only do the counseling, but they may connect them with other social services as needed and that kind of stuff. So part of what we're doing now is putting that information together. Mm-hmm. And, our idea is twofold. We want justice for our clients, right? We want them to be acknowledged that this is bad and this has happened to me and it shouldn't happen to me. Mm-hmm. We also want the policy change, right? Because part of what civil lawyers get to do in the right cases is affect changes in policy. Mm-hmm. So the issue is right now, how was this permitted to happen, right? How does this happen? So somewhere in the hospital policy, we have to look at how is an unsupervised male tech allowed to be with a female patient in one-on-one time. Like,
Right.
how does that happen? Why does that happen? As a nurse, like I know the risk of that delusional patient, right, who says it happened when it didn't,
Yeah.
and that it really happens. This isn't news. This has been going on since the beginning of time.